You ever have one of those moments where your whole life suddenly feels like a setup? Where you realize everyone around you has already made decisions for you without asking, without caring, and they expect you to smile through it? Yeah, that was me, standing in my own backyard, staring at my brother and my parents as they announced, not asked, announced that my space, my property, my home was going to be used for their wedding. And the kicker? My mom said it with a straight face. "Oh, and sweetheart, you'll cover the costs, of course." I swear I thought she was joking, until my brother added, "We already sent the invitations." You won't believe how deep this went, or how badly they underestimated me. But to understand how I ended up in the middle of that backyard standoff, with everyone's eyes on me and my hands shaking, let me take you back. My name is Ryan. I'm 32, an engineer, and the so-called responsible son. My brother, Eric, he's the golden child, always has been. He could crash a car into a parked police cruiser, and my mom would say, well, at least he was trying to get home. Meanwhile, if I breathe too loudly, she asks, "Why are you being difficult?" And trust me, this dynamic didn't just magically appear. They built it, brick by brick. Like last December, Christmas dinner. I was carving the ham, and my mom said, "Ryan, don't cut it that way. You're ruining the presentation." Eric walked in 10 minutes later, dropped a glass bowl full of potatoes on the kitchen floor, glass everywhere, food ruined, and she ran to him like he was a wounded soldier. "Sweetheart, your poor hands. Are you okay?" "It's fine. I wanted to make mashed instead." If you think that's bad, hold on. Because this story, this one tops everything. So 6 months ago, I bought my house, my first house. It has a big backyard, like big enough for parties, bonfires, maybe future kids' birthdays, whatever. I loved that yard. Naturally, my parents loved it too. Loved it so much they invited people over without asking me. "Oh, they won't mind," they'd say. But I tried to be civil, tried to keep family peace. You know how it is. Then, one Sunday, the day everything started, my parents dropped by, which always meant used their spare key and walked in. I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard the sliding door open and my mom's voice flowed in from outside. "Oh, this is perfect, just perfect. We can set the ceremony there and the tables along the fence." I walk out and see them, my mom, my dad, and Eric, pacing around my yard like they were planning a military maneuver. I said, "Hey, what's going on?" My mom smiled like this was the most normal thing in the world. "Sweetheart, we were just discussing the wedding." I blanked. Whose wedding? They all stared at me like I was slow. Eric's, of course. Right, Eric and Kayla, the fiancé, the one with a superiority complex that could be seen from space. I nodded carefully. "Okay, and what does that have to do with my backyard?" My dad clapped his hands. "We're using it." Just like that. No question mark, no "would you mind," no respect for the fact that I lived here. I said, what? No, you can't just..." My mom cut me off with a wave. "Sweetheart, don't be dramatic. You have all this space. It would be selfish not to use it for family." I stared at them. "Did you ask me?" She scoffed. "Don't start." No joke, that's what she said. Don't start. That should have been my first clue. Something bigger was happening. Something planned behind my back. But oh, I wasn't even close to the truth. I tried to be calm. "To be clear, you didn't ask me, and I haven't agreed to anything." My brother laughed, actually laughed. "Oh, come on, man. Don't be a jerk. This yard is wasted on you anyway." I said, "Excuse me?" He shrugged. "I mean, you never use it, and we already told people the venue." That sentence hit the air like a dropped bomb. I said, "You did what?" My mom chimed in, Everyone's expecting it here, so it would be humiliating if you backed out. I couldn't even process it. They'd literally forced me into a corner before telling me. And then my mom gave me that fake, gentle tone she uses when she's trying to manipulate me. And, sweetheart, we'll need you to cover the costs. Just the basics. Tents, chairs, food, setup. You know, all standard. I swear my vision went white. I said, why would I pay for your wedding? My dad, because you make more money than your brother. My mom, and your house is the venue. Eric, he's single. It's not like you have real expenses. Real expenses. Real expenses. That was the moment something in me snapped. Not visibly, I kept my face calm, but internally, a fuse burned straight through. Because they didn't just decide my yard was theirs, they decided my wallet was too. But here's the thing they didn't know. I wasn't the same pushover kid they raised, and I had something they didn't expect. A secret advantage, something they had no idea existed, and it would flip everything they thought they controlled. Let me back up just a bit. 3 months before this backyard ambush, something weird happened. My realtor called me, said she got a strange request from a man claiming to be family, asking about the property, the deed, and whether the house had been fully transferred into my name. The realtor, thankfully, refused to tell him anything. A week later, I got a letter in the mail from my parents' lawyer. Not my parents, their lawyer. It said something about estate planning and requested information about my property. Weird, right? I didn't respond, but I made a copy of that letter. That letter would later become the fuse to my revenge. Back then, I didn't know what it meant, but now everything made sense. My parents had assumed that when I bought my house, I'd put them on the deed. Why? Because Eric still lived with them. Because Eric didn't own anything. Because in their minds, family property was all shared. But here's the twist. The deed? It's only in my name. No joint ownership, no co-signers, no shared anything. This backyard, this house, this land, it belonged to me, only me, and that was about to matter a lot. But before I used that advantage, I decided to give them all one last chance to be decent people. So I said, I need time to think about this. My mom rolled her eyes. Ryan, don't be childish. But I just walked back inside. And that night, I started digging. Not emotionally, literally digging through receipts, messages, family group chats, old emails, and bank transfers. Because something wasn't adding up. Why were they desperate to force the wedding onto my property? Why the rush? Why the pressure? Why the assumption I'd pay? And that's when I discovered it. The twist. The truth I wasn't supposed to know. Eric and Kayla weren't planning a small backyard wedding. They were planning a full-scale 150-person event with catering, lighting, sound systems, dance floor, bar stations, portable bathrooms, the whole thing. Which means they weren't using my yard. They were using me. And that's when I found the smoking gun. An email from my mom to a wedding contractor. She wrote, "My son Ryan will cover the fees, bill everything under his name. He owes it to his brother. It's the least he can do." The least I can do. I sat on my couch, staring at those words, my hands shaking with anger. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as a wallet, a backup generator, a resource to extract from. And if I hadn't checked, if I hadn't dug, I would have been handed a bill for $28,400. $28,400. My own mother volunteered my bank account like it was a gift basket. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Because me, I decided to play a different game, a quiet game, a strategic one. I didn't confront them right away. That's what they expected. Drama, yelling, emotional blow-ups. Instead, I observed. I listened. I collected evidence. Every assumption they had, every entitled comment, every expectation, I let it happen. Because the longer they believed they were winning, the harder the fall would be. And oh, their fall was going to be spectacular. Fast forward 2 weeks. I invited my parents and brother over for dinner to talk. They came dressed like they were attending a royal ceremony. The smell of my mom's perfume hit the air before she even entered. Eric strutted in like he owned the place. We sat at the dinner table, forks clinking, tension building. My mom cleared her throat. "So, sweetheart, I told the caterer you'd give the deposit this week." I took a slow sip of water. "Oh, why would you do that?" She blinked, annoyed. "Because you agreed." "I never agreed." She narrowed her eyes. "You implied you would." "No," I said calmly. "I said I'd think about it." My brother made a disgusted noise. "Bro, stop being a martyr. Just be supportive for once." Supportive for once. I almost laughed. I said, "Let's talk logistics. How many people did you invite?" Eric shrugged. 150-ish. My dad added, "Could be closer to 180. I nearly choked. 180 people in my backyard? My mom waved her hand. "Oh, relax. You have the space." I leaned forward. "Have you considered the permits?" All 3 of them froze. "Permits?" my dad repeated. I nodded slowly. Large gatherings require city permits, parking arrangements, noise approvals, and sometimes temporary event insurance. Eric scoffed. "We don't need that. It's private property." "Private property," I said, "doesn't mean you can break laws." My mom stared at me suspiciously. "Why do you sound like you're trying to get out of this?" I looked at her, dead calm. "I'm not trying. I already did." Confusion washed over their faces. "What does that mean?" Eric asked. Oh, if only they knew. If only they knew the twist that was coming. But before I dropped the hammer, something happened that nearly made me explode. Kayla showed up. She barged in through my front door without knocking. She didn't even say hello. She pointed at me and said loudly, "Ryan, I heard you're trying to sabotage our wedding." I stood up. "Sabo, what? No, She cut me off, stepping into my space. "You always do this. Every time something is about Eric, you get jealous." My jaw dropped. "I'm not jealous of—" "Oh, please," she said, rolling her eyes. "It's pathetic." You know those moments where anger hits so fast your ears ring? That was me. But I kept it together, barely. Eric got in my face. "Dude, seriously, stop being selfish." Selfish? Me? The person being forced to fund a wedding I wasn't invited to participate in beyond being the ATM? I looked at my family, people who were supposed to care, and realized they weren't stopping this because they didn't see anything wrong. They truly believed I owed them my house, my money, my time. That was the final straw. Time for the twist. I stepped back, took a breath, and said very calmly, "Okay, I'll pay for the wedding." You could practically hear the gears in their heads screeching in shock. My mom beamed. "Oh, sweetheart, I knew you'd—" "But," I said, raising a finger, "I'll need you all to sign one thing." Their faces pinched. "What thing?" Eric demanded. "A simple venue agreement," I said, "just to outline responsibilities, liabilities, and financial obligations." Kayla snorted. "You're being ridiculous. We don't need a contract. We're family." "Exactly," I said with a smile, "which is why this'll be easy." I grabbed the folder from the kitchen counter, walked back, set it down. My mom flipped through it, her face paling by the second. She whispered, "Ryan, what is this?" I said, "A legally binding contract stating that you, all three of you, accept full financial liability for any damage, complaints, fines, permit issues, and cleanup associated with hosting a 180-person event." My dad sputtered, This is absurd." "No," I said, "this is adulthood." My mom slammed the papers down. "We will not sign this." I shrugged. "Then I will not host your wedding." Eric stood up so fast his chair skidded. "Bro, stop being a D." I cut him off this time. "By the way, did you know hosting an event like this without permits can get the homeowner fined up to $10,000? They froze. "And did you know that contractors won't set foot on a property without insurance protection because if something goes wrong, they get sued too?" No one spoke. I leaned in. "Meaning, even if I said yes, your wedding would get shut down the moment someone reports it." Kayla whispered, "Report it? Who would report it?" I smiled. Their faces drained of color. I wasn't done. "Also," I added casually, "I forwarded that email you sent to the contractor, the one where you said I'd cover everything, to my lawyer." My mom gasped. "You what?" "I needed written proof you attempted to commit financial fraud, just in case." She staggered back like I slapped her. "Ryan, you wouldn't." I already did. And that's when the real twist landed. The power reclaim moment. The moment I'd been waiting for. I said, "I'm selling the house." My dad blanked. "You're what?" I accepted an offer, closing in 30 days. The room erupted in chaos. My mom, "You can't do that." Eric, "This is a joke, right?" Kayla, "Where will the wedding be?" I walked to the fridge, opened it, grabbed a drink, took my time. Then I said, "Not here." The silence was delicious. I continued, "You never asked me. You never respected me. You tried to use me. All of you." My voice didn't shake. Not this time. "So no, you cannot have my house, my yard, or my money." I leaned on the counter. "And since you already told 180 people the wedding was here, well, you'd better start making phone calls." My brother lost it. "You ruined everything." "No," I said softly. "You did." They stormed out that night, every one of them. My mom texted me paragraphs calling me ungrateful. My dad said I embarrassed the family. Eric told me to go to hell. Kayla blocked me. And you know what? For the first time in my life, I felt free. Now for the aftermath, because yes, there were consequences. For them, not me. My parents were forced to host the wedding themselves, in a rented hall far smaller than they wanted. Kayla's parents refused to pitch in because that's Ryan's job, which made me laugh every time I thought about it. They ended up paying more than double what they originally budgeted. Then came the best part. The city fined them $2,500 for trying to reserve public overflow parking without proper paperwork. And the wedding? It was a disaster. A storm knocked out the power, the caterer ran late, the cake melted, half the guests didn't show up because the venue changed last minute. Eric blamed me in front of everyone, apparently. But me? I wasn't there. I was in my new condo, drinking a cold beer, watching a movie, enjoying peace for the first time in years. And my parents haven't used their spare key since. Actually, they don't have one anymore.
Do I miss them? Sometimes. But I don't miss being used. I don't miss being unappreciated. I don't miss being the scapegoat, the wallet, the afterthought. I won't go back to that version of myself again. Not ever. If you were me, would you forgive them? Or would you walk away like I did? Because, honestly, closing that door was the first time I ever felt it open for me.